This was the baddest experience of my life, and honestly, I'm sure some of you have faced something like this too. You know, when you're traveling alone, everything feels normal at first, until suddenly it doesn't. Welcome to my channel, Horror Nightmares. If you enjoy creepy stories, don't forget to subscribe and like the video now. Let's begin the story. It happened about a year ago. I was traveling to another city for some work. Nothing unusual. I had taken trains before, but that day something just felt different. Maybe it was the quiet station, or maybe it was the way the evening light faded a little too fast. I remember thinking, it's fine, don't overthink. When I boarded the train, it was nearly empty, just a few scattered people. I sat near the window, plugged in my earphones, and tried to relax. Everything was calm, almost peaceful. The rhythmic sound of the train was comforting. But that peace didn't last long. At the next station, two men entered. They looked like normal passengers, maybe in their early 30s, but something about their body language made me uneasy. One of them looked directly at me as soon as he stepped in. I quickly looked away, pretending to be busy with my phone. But from the corner of my eye, I noticed something. Even though the entire compartment was nearly empty, they chose seats right across from me. I told myself not to panic. Maybe it's just a coincidence, I thought. I put my bag next to me, turned my face toward the window, and focused on the reflection. That's when I caught it. One of them was staring. Not just glancing, staring. His friend whispered something, and both of them laughed quietly. My heartbeat started to rise. You know that feeling when your body realizes something's wrong before your mind does? My palms got sweaty, and I could feel the tension in my stomach. I tried to act normal, like I hadn't noticed anything, but I could feel their eyes following every small movement I made. After a few minutes, one of them said softly, "Traveling alone?" I didn't respond. I just turned up the volume on my earphones, even though there was no music playing. My mind was racing. I started thinking of exits, next stations, nearby people, but there was no one close enough to notice what was happening. The train was still moving fast through dark stretches of land, no houses, no lights, nothing outside except blackness. I wanted to message someone, but there was no signal. That moment felt endless. Then one of them got up and pretended to stretch. He moved closer, leaning on the pole near my seat. My breath caught in my throat. I could literally feel my heartbeat in my ears. I remember whispering a small prayer inside my head. Please let this train stop soon. Finally, the train began to slow down. The next small station was coming. That's when I got an idea. I pulled out my phone, held it to my ear, and started pretending I was on a call. I said loudly, "Yes, I'm almost there. You're waiting at platform 2, right? I can see you." I said it like I was talking to someone who could actually see me from outside. I didn't look at them, but I could sense their reaction. They went quiet. The one who was standing slowly walked back to his seat. The moment the doors opened, I grabbed my bag and stepped out quickly, not running, but walking fast. My legs felt weak, like I could fall any second. I didn't even look back. I just went straight to the nearest tea stall on the platform and stood among the people there. When I finally turned around, I saw them inside the train, still sitting in their seats, staring out the window directly at me. The doors closed, and the train started moving again. For a few seconds, their eyes didn't leave mine, and then they were gone. I stood there for a long time, trying to process what had just happened. I wasn't hurt, but something inside me had changed. That day I realized that danger doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just watches silently. Later, when I reached my hotel, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying every second in my head, the way they laughed, the way the one guy stood too close, the way their faces looked through the window as the train left. It's been a long time now, but even today, when I travel alone, I double-check everything. The seat, the surroundings, even the exits. That night taught me to trust my instincts no matter what. And if you're listening to me right now, I just want to say, if something ever feels wrong while you're traveling alone, don't ignore it. Your fear might just save you, because for me, that train ride wasn't just a trip, it was the baddest experience of my life. You know, some memories don't fade, no matter how much time passes. They just stay there like a small scar you can still feel when you touch it. This one was the baddest experience of my life. And I'm sure at least once in your life, you've also felt something similar, that fear while traveling alone, when your gut suddenly says something's not right. It happened one night when I was returning home after visiting a friend. We'd spent the whole evening chatting, laughing, having chai, just a normal, happy night. When I checked the time, it was around 10:30 p.m. I remember thinking, it's a bit late, but I'll be fine. I booked a taxi through an app and waited by the main road. A small white car pulled up. The driver rolled down his window, said my name, and smiled. He looked like any other driver, mid-30s. Polite, and a bit tired maybe. Nothing about him seemed off. I sat in the back seat, greeted him, and we started driving. For the first few minutes, everything felt normal. Streetlights passed by, one after another. I leaned back, opened my phone, and started scrolling through messages. You know how you try to distract yourself during a long ride, just to pass the time? But after a few minutes, something felt strange. It wasn't a big thing at first, just small details. The route looked different, and the roads outside seemed emptier than they should have been. I checked the map on my phone, and the blue dot wasn't following the usual path to my house. It had slightly drifted, small enough to ignore, but big enough to make my heart skip a beat. At first, I tried to calm myself. Maybe there's traffic, I told myself. Maybe he's taking a shortcut. But as the minutes passed, that tiny, uneasy feeling grew heavier. It wasn't about the wrong turn, it was about the silence inside that car. The driver didn't talk. No radio, no small talk, nothing. Just the sound of the tires and my heart beating louder and louder. I looked outside. The streets were getting darker. I didn't recognize any shop, any landmark, nothing. That's when real fear started to sink in. My throat felt dry, and my hands were suddenly cold. I wanted to ask, Baya, is this the right route? But I stopped myself. What if he realizes I've noticed? What if that makes him angry? My mind was full of questions I didn't want answers to. So I did the only thing that felt safe. I stayed quiet and started thinking fast. I opened my phone slowly and texted my best friend. Hey, here's my cab info, I typed, trying not to shake. Then I added, if I don't text you in 10 minutes, call the police. My heart was pounding so loud that I thought he might hear it. I kept watching the road through the side window, half praying, half planning. I could see his eyes in the rearview mirror every few seconds. That look, blank but watchful, made everything worse. My friend replied, what happened? I didn't answer. I just shared my live location and put the phone on silent. Now I had to think of a way out. I couldn't jump from a moving car, and I didn't want to panic him by calling out. I remembered something I'd once read online: stay calm, think smart, and find a reason to make the driver stop. So I decided to lie. I pretended to get a call. I pressed my phone to my ear and said, yes ma, I'm coming. You need medicine from the pharmacy? Okay, I'll get it from the main road. I said it loudly enough for him to hear. Then I looked up and said calmly, can you please stop near that pharmacy ahead? I just need to grab something for my mother. He didn't reply. For a few seconds he just stared straight ahead. My heart dropped. Then finally, he nodded. Those 10 seconds before the car stopped felt longer than my entire life. He parked near a small, brightly lit pharmacy. I could see people inside, moving around. That light felt like hope. The second he stopped, I unbuckled my seatbelt and got out. Not running, not screaming. Just walking fast and steady like everything was normal. I entered the pharmacy, the bell above the door ringing softly. Inside I finally let myself breathe. My hands were trembling so badly that the shopkeeper probably thought I was sick. I picked up a bottle of water and faked a normal expression while dialing my friend. The moment she picked up, I whispered, I'm safe. I got out from the pharmacy's glass window. I saw the taxi still parked there. He waited for a few seconds, maybe hoping I'd come back. But when he realized I wouldn't, he drove off quietly, disappearing into the dark. I don't even remember how long I stood there, but when I finally stepped outside, the air felt heavy and cold. My friend stayed on the phone the whole time until I got another cab, this time one she booked for me, and reached home safely. That night, I locked my door and sat on the floor for hours, just replaying everything. The silence of that car, the wrong road, the way my gut kept screaming even when my mind tried to stay calm. You know, people always say trust your instincts, but you never truly understand what that means, until a moment like this. That night taught me that fear isn't weakness. It's a warning. Now I never sit in a taxi without checking the route twice. I share my location every single time, and whenever that tiny voice in my head says something's off, I listen, because that night, that wasn't just a bad ride. It was the baddest experience of my life, one that still makes my heart race every time I think about it. And if you've ever traveled alone at night and felt your stomach twist for no reason, You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, sometimes life gives you small, random moments that seem harmless at first, but when you think back, they shake you to the core. This was another one of those experiences I'll never forget. And honestly, I'm sure many of you who travel alone, especially girls, have gone through something like this at least once in your life. Every day after work, I had this small routine. I'd walk for about 5 minutes from my office to the bus station, take the same bus, sit in my usual seat, and head home. Nothing special, nothing scary, just the same simple routine every single day. But one evening, something felt off. You know when your mind suddenly tells you, you're being watched. That exact feeling hit me as I was walking down the road to the bus stop. I turned around casually, just to check, and there he was. A man, maybe in his late 30s, wearing a grey hoodie and carrying a small bag. He was walking behind me, not too close, not too far, just enough to stay within sight. At first, I ignored it. I told myself maybe he's just going the same way. It happens, right? People walk in the same direction all the time. But when I stopped for a second near a shop, pretending to check my phone, he slowed down too. That's when my heartbeat started picking up. Still, I tried to act normal. I started walking again, this time a little faster. I looked back after a few steps, and yes, he was still there. Same pace, same distance. Eyes fixed straight ahead, but I could feel he was watching me. By the time I reached the bus station, I was already nervous. I thought maybe he'd walk past me. Maybe this was all in my head. But when I bought my ticket and turned around, he was standing a few feet away, pretending to scroll through his phone but clearly watching me. I can't explain that feeling. It's not like movie fear where you scream and run. It's quieter. It's the kind of fear that sits in your chest and makes every breath feel heavy. I remember thinking, don't panic, just stay calm. When the bus arrived, I quickly got in and took a seat near the window. I told myself, once I'm inside, I'll be fine. But when I looked up, my stomach dropped. He was getting on the same bus. My hands were trembling, but I tried not to show it. I took out my phone and texted my male friend, hey, can you please come to the stop near my house? Something weird's happening. He instantly replied, what happened? I didn't explain much. I just told him, I think someone's following me. Just be there when I get off. The bus started moving. I looked out of the window, pretending to be lost in thought, but my reflection showed me everything I needed to see. He was sitting 2 seats behind me, looking straight at me every few minutes. Every second felt like an hour. I kept replaying possibilities in my head. What if he follows me again after I get down? What if I can't find my friend? My hands were sweating, but I kept my phone tight in my grip, like it was the only thing keeping me safe. After about 20 minutes, the bus reached my stop. I could already see my friend standing there from the window, tall, confident, and exactly where I needed him to be. For the first time in that ride, I took a deep breath. When the bus slowed down, I got up slowly, pretending not to notice the man behind me. As I stepped off, I saw my friend wave at me. He walked right up, saying loudly, hey, you're late again. It wasn't just a greeting, it was a signal. I smiled back, trying to act normal, but inside, my heart was racing. I turned my head slightly to check. The man was still inside the bus, standing near the door. He looked out, saw my friend next to me, and froze. His expression changed confusion, maybe frustration, and then, the doors closed. The bus moved away. I stood there, completely still, watching the taillights fade into the distance. My friend looked at me and said softly, you okay? That's when I finally let out the breath I'd been holding for the last 30 minutes. We walked home together that night. I didn't talk much, I just kept thinking how different things could have gone if I hadn't texted him. It's strange how one small decision, one message can change everything. That night, I realized something. Fear doesn't always come from darkness or danger. Sometimes, it comes from silence, from someone's quiet footsteps behind you, from the way a stranger looks a little too long, from the way you suddenly stop feeling safe in a place you walk every day. After that incident, I changed my routine. I never walk alone after sunset now. I always stay alert, always share my route, because once you've felt that silent kind of fear, the kind that creeps up slowly and makes your world feel smaller, you never forget it. It wasn't a dramatic chase. There was no shouting, no running. But for me, that moment when he followed me, step after step, bus after bus, was one of the scariest. moments of my life, and if you've ever turned around on a lonely street and seen someone still walking behind you, then you know exactly what that fear feels like.